Okay, this is an inner circle teaching with Anthony and Opider, have been with me for years. They were previously part of a large group that I taught for years, and now they continued on. So let's see what we can do today, okay? Welcome to the flow. Hey, there he is. See this? Where's Opie? What is that when I type help?
No, hold on, baby. One.
Baby. Hold on, baby. Go again.
Again?
Hold on, baby. Hey. People. There you go.
You can be a little bit more this way.
Nice. Is that how big it is?
Yeah, remember, he can see us fully, but we
Oh.
can't see him fully. We can see him now.
I think all this border can go away, though.
No, you should see me fully, and you should be small. Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we can see you. We're smaller.
That's for sure.
Sure, don't make fun of me. What are you doing, honey?
Nothing, I just make it line up. Good morning.
Good morning. Good. Oh. Oh.
Wow.
All right, tell me what you learned, will you? Holy cheese whiz, for goodness sakes. Jesus help us.
5. What did you learn, sweetheart?
Well, she didn't learn anything. We know that. What did you learn?
There you go.
What did I learn? Let's see. Where can I start? I learned to write down stuff that's important and take notes and debrief every day, because otherwise I'll think that I know everything and keep it in my head and make a mistake and then have to cover my ass and burn more energy. And then so I've learned to let go and know that I'm going to make a mistake no matter what I do, and pray and meditate on what that lesson
That's
could
good
be.
stuff. You ever hear of the immortal jellyfish? There's a jellyfish that is basically immortal, lives forever in the sea. What happens is the jellyfish grows to maturity, and then when it tell them to
I respond.
So once it experiences maturity, when it experiences too much danger or too much hunger or too much problems, it actually reverts back to being a baby. In other words, from a full-grown person, it becomes a fetus on the ocean floor and starts over again. So what happens to initiate that process? Shock. There's either too much danger in its environment or it's starving to death. So the step one of life is this experience of, oh gosh, I still have things to learn in life and I'm never going to get it right. Therefore, grace is more important than law, unconditionally being loved, unconditionally being non-cognitively going into a peaceful reverie. All the sages and saints and all the miraculous people, they all go into this peaceful reverie. How does that happen? That going within process? The immortal jellyfish, for the immortal, if you type in the internet, you can watch about it, the immortal jellyfish. Shock. So you think anything but shock, anything but being revered for not being good enough, anything but not being heard, valued, and listened to. And that ruins your ability to self-reinvent again. Because our self-reinvention around here is not long from over. Because if you want to be like the immortal jellyfish and continue to adapt, only those that self-reinvent can survive and thrive, you're going to have to go back to the not knowing clean slate, fresh start, new place, new lease, new people, new relationships. Even with the place that you're at and the relationship you have, you're going to have to sandblast your soul clean and start over. If you look at your mind is patterned to do anything but that. Be exposed, be revealed, be uncoordinated, be not knowing, be wrong, be incompetent. So we don't get to step 2 because step 1 is not functioning. Meaning I need the sun, moon, and stars and air to breathe. Anything but you. It's all around you in the environment. But the mind has this matrix of defense mechanisms that doesn't let life in. So shock happens and you start over. Shock happens, you send me a message, oh, I was so in a panic, and then I remembered your teaching and I started to breathe deep, and oh, it's so beautiful. Well, what more did you do the class? Shock and defeat. That's all I heard from any student. oh, there was this challenging circumstance, and I remembered your teaching. So what you need to do is remember the teaching without the shock, allow the shock cognitively, consciously, rather than it being forcefully imposed on you. You're going to get married. You're going to have all these people. You're going to do all these things. You got to pre-process. So the whole thing is smooth before you go. You have to go over every single thing in your mind as much as possible. In a movie made by Navy SEALs, it's all real Navy SEALs, there's this scene in the fire. They're having a campfire on the beach, and they're about to go out on a mission. And they're all real Navy SEALs in real life, and they made a movie. But it's a movie. And the senior, who, like my friend, is the senior, well, retired senior chief SEAL, the senior said to everybody, well, just make sure everything's buttoned up, at home before you go out. Relationship, money, whatever's going on, make sure it's all cleared out and cleaned up. Because that stuff will get you killed. You go out into the battlefield with that stuff going on, and you won't survive. So you have to be an immaculate human being in your personal life if you want the wedding and the this and the that to go immaculately, Not to say there's no room for grace. There's probably room for grace, but you've got to allow what are the 5 people that are kind of going to concern you at the place, or 20. What's the crowd going to be like? Are you going to serve alcohol? That's a terrible mistake, but you probably will. All these different.
We're going to have a cash bar. They have to pay for it.
Well, that's helpful. So. I wouldn't even have the cash bar personally. Why would you let people get intoxicated in your presence? It makes no sense to me.
Hey, so you say pre-process. We're not pre-processing to avoid shock, correct? We're just pre-processing because we know that there is going to be shock inevitably. So let's just sort of.
Well, good question. Well, it's not just the grounding, but it's also the animation. So yeah, you want to pre-process everything. If you can really pre-process everything, then when you go there, you already have all the variables, are covered. Not all of them, because you'll always be surprised and you always have to adapt in the moment. But you'll certainly want to understand, I'm going to feel uncomfortable in my dress because why? Because you're too beautiful, or because you're not beautiful enough, all this nonsense. So like what's she going to say? What's he going to say? Is the old boyfriend going to be there? Yeah, whatever. You understand? So all this stuff is going to happen. And for you to be stuck on going your daily life with the cortex leading your presentation of how you're going to interact with people instead of the winds, you understand the winds create the waves. Your cortex is kind of a layer on top of that. Geniuses don't think thinking happens. If you're responsive to the winds right now, let's say the wedding's happening right now, and you're responsive to all the people and the things and the vows, and you can get an idea of what kind of wave is going to come through. When you read your vows, you're going to be uncomfortable. Are you going to just read it to them, or are you going to go ahead and do it? These are the vows I'm saying. It's not that there's not any negative emotion between us, but this is what I'm stating. This is the time to state it. And here we go. You state it. And that's for everybody to hear. So the winds create the waves. The cortex is stuck in a matrix of thought going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it's not exactly empathically responsive to the other people and the other circumstances. So you get shocked. If you get shocked now, before you see Sean, you can go on to step 2. And you can understand the all-embracing grace. Remember in your wedding, the sky and the earth and the ocean. Probably by the ocean, yeah? Oh.
If you're by the mountains, oceans across the street. We decided.
Pretty close. It's by the Twin
Rivers, where the Twin Rivers come into the ocean. It's very sacred land.
So that is the relationship you should be concerned about. not each other and not people. But you're so afraid, kicking shit, that you think that the people are more important than the nature. You have to stop that. Because the nature people, the ocean person, the mountain person, that's the umbrella and the embrace. All the people are breathing air because of those mothers and fathers. So if you forget that and all you do is think about the horizontal interaction, you can't function. The vertical interaction fuels the horizontal interaction. So before you say your vows, check in with the sky and the earth and understand that the sky and the earth is above and embracing and throughout all of this quantum universe, really, in this physical world we live in. From the atom to space. Science tells us in non-locality, Bell's theorem, superentanglement, there's no distance in space. Everything instantly interacts with everything else. So you want to have a quantum event by being receptive now. I was teaching this morning, the one guy's going to become the chief maybe, and then the other man maybe is going to become the chief. And so they're not sure kind of who wants it and who's going to get it. And I was saying that, look, if you're receptive to the environment that's present to you, then you don't have to think so much as if you're going to control the environment. You begin to function from drive because the water wheel is functioning. When you're receptive, the top water wheel of your head gets water, and then it starts the water wheel of energy kriya going up and down your spine. In Kriya Yoga and Qigong, the most advanced thing, most advanced experience in those disciplines is the healing energy going up and down your spine. But you don't have a spine. You don't have a head and cortex. And me out here and you in there and your thoughts and what's he saying this time and, But there's no spine. There's no body. Until you're receptive to environment, trusting that everybody is the expression of the divine. And it's not about your timing and your way. It's about the timing and the way. It's not about your beliefs. It's about life is flowing through all these people. And you've got to deal with your fear. We've got to deal with our fear to accept each person, which allows you to have immaculate discernment. When you have immaculate discernment, you're the best fighter, so you don't have to worry about self-defense. But you don't have any power to establish personal boundaries, to be a person with something to say and all that, unless you honor the other person and are receptive to them. It's not to say there's not going to be conflicts and arguments, and it's always going to happen. We're human. But when you go through this process like we're going through now, you're going to get your world rocked. You don't have any escape. You choose to press play and to have me on the screen again. And what happens every single time? Thank God.
Healing.
I make you feel safe at some point, and you drop the defense mechanisms, and then somebody else takes over, a real wise person, not a bridge teacher like me. But in the beginning, there's no faith, there's only critical analysis. So I have to sort through the critical analysis and field it until you remember what we're doing. And what we're doing is the internal journey. The internal journey is where the most repair happens. So the eyes switch. The ears switch, the nose switches, the biological biography is sorted through. So remember the water wheel, something comes into the head, you accept it. That's the gatekeeper to the inner world, the cortex. And you accept some good enough words or good enough person or good enough nature scene, something. Brainstem convergence. Amrita, sweet taste in the mouth. And the water of life starts to flow down through the body, sorting through stuck spots, shoulders and wherevers. So for this process to happen, the gateway has to experience some kind of surrender, finally surrendered. But your job in life is to gather so much power and intelligence that you can keep everybody out and under control, right? I'm going to strategize, and Sean's going to do his job, and whomever works for you, whatever. I found that gal's Amani. I found her email this morning. I was doing something with Alignable, and her email automatically came up. Amani, that's who it is. So all of these people become the presentation of you yourself experiencing the meditative journey. If not, then you're setting yourself up against the universe. How can you do that? Because the universe is the air and is the water and is the food, the nature, the environment, this sky, this earth, these people. It's all about people in the air. When you begin to surrender enough to the people in the air, you start the inner journey. It'll never happen before that. So we'll look for measurable scientific changes. The heart's a gland as well as an organ. Brain waves, breathing pattern, hormones, pulse, posture, attitude, mood, gestures, behavior. If you're in denial constantly with a subject-object universe, how can you possibly get to those inner realities? You can't. Because you're playing words, I'm going to be in control. So how can you do the inner journey? When you're alone? Over there? That's when you're going to do it? So that means when you're in the wedding, when you're at the work, when you're in the whatever, your entire house of cards has to fall. Because you're no longer perceiving the person in front of you as being God wearing a mask. Why you get healed through my teaching is because I perceive you as healing me as God wearing a mask. But you might not be able to perceive me doing that to you. So when I do heal, you don't. Okay. Thanks. Because you're too afraid, you know. Terrification or terrorists? Pick one. Can you tell the truth that you're terrified in life, or somebody's going to show up and prove it to you? You don't need to go out to the store and plan the wedding and everything you do in a state of shock. You don't need to do things that way. You can be the master. Which means that it's all in order, man. Well, man, it's all good, you know. Mahalo, shaka.
Yeah.
You understand? But you need to be mature with that. Not a pothead or whatever. That's not the proper extrapolation of what the hippies were trying to do. Do the nice shirt, comb your hair. Stop acting like a child. If nobody else is going to do it, you do it. You make sure those people in the wedding get a message about the soul. Where's the soul? It's beyond the gatekeeper of the cortex, you know.
So are you you're talking about when you talk about us being terrified, you're basically explaining the natural laws, the positive, the negative, correct? So if I'm just focusing on the positive, then I'm not actually in the natural laws of the
I hate
universe.
to break it to you, but you know, life is all that. So when you understand the significance of the electric charge of the earth is negative. The electric charge of the upper atmosphere is positive. So do you just want positive? Or do you want to have root and ground too? Because if you don't have any root and ground, then the whole electrical circuit of your person is messed up.
Well, it's like a magnet couldn't be a magnet if it wouldn't have some kind of grounding, correct? 'Cause it
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to. Well, magnetism, you have to be grounded to have
Yeah.
magnetism.
That's exactly right. So the entire matrix, the entire physical world is a bunch of ones and zeros. It's a bunch of conflict. It's a bunch of magnetism. E equals mc squared. Light, matter, energy, same thing. That's the matrix. So we have to move and shake with the winds. Negative, positive, negative, positive. Some people need grounding in a moment of communicating with them. Some people need encouragement and animation in a movement of talking with them. It all functions automatically. Different genders have different inclinations. Doesn't mean one's right, one's wrong. It means that you have to know your life. You're not going to outsource your life. Marriage and relationship is not two halves that become a whole. That's a fantasy. The guru, the enlightened person, that's the only person that's whole. And that's like a genius times 100. And the relationship is two whole people joining together and then going back to their own corners. Joining together and then going back to their own corners. Alone.
Nice.
If you want to get together on a more intimate basis, then get alone. Don't think that you're going to convince that your whole thing of getting together is convincing and strategizing and adapting to the other person. That's the outpicturing of the one white light that comes from the projector. Behind the white light is where the actions are made of where you can adapt and get back together and do good. But the source of it is in the transcendental state. The source of it is you with your own psyche experiencing the other person in their atmic perception or in their divine perspective. And everybody's got wearing a mask. It's very exposing to your own personal issues. The only thing that's a conflict between you and the other person is the other person pointing their finger at your personal issues. So if you don't slow down, stop, reverse your search, and actually change behavior is the only apology. Don't think you're going to come back together with some energy chess strategy and make everything wonderful. If you can become receptive to the other person where their pointing finger allows you to once again be proven wrong, and you could say, oh, okay. When you can do that, not I want him to do that, well, I want him to do that, that's not the proper interpretation of my words. When you can do that in your own world, then the projection, the extension of the other person's psyche overextends, unbalances, pulls back, self-regulates. That's what you want when the other person's pecking on you, right? They just want you to leave the hell alone. So then deal with your issues, and they'll back off.
Well, that's when I was listening to Yogananda. I listened to another book of his. It wasn't him. It was, he was talking about, well, I don't really know what he's talking about. All I know is I was listening to him. I didn't realize I had questions until I listened to him. So there's questions that I need answers to, but I didn't realize until I was listening to him, and I was meditating, listening to him, press play, and all these crazy distortions just came into my body, I'm just like,
into the body?
He's like, sit.
Came into your body? Where'd they come from?
No, I don't know if they came into my. I think they were already there. I just been distracted, right? I just been distracted. They've been here the whole time. I just was like up over there somewhere.
Me too. Don't worry.
And I feel like what you're talking about when you talk about the imbalances. I've been short-circuited. I've been walking around short-circuited just for a long time. Just I don't even know how I've survived this long, to be honest with you. But Yogananda is incredible. Like he's talking about, so somebody comes up to you and they're a certain way, be joyful. They're pissed, be joyful. They're, they're nice, be joyful. They're an idiot, be joyful. I'm like, wow. Like he's so loving, right? It's the spaciousness. So when we're separate, I have to do the meditation and just suffer my distortions and understand where I'm wrong and just keep practicing that.
And go on
keep
two.
churning.
Step 2, you got to switch gears. So now that you got the message of step 1, I can change my tune. If you don't abruptly interject or interact or demonstrate what the problem is, then you can't have a solution. So that's the negative. Now, if you can do that with a joyful internal mood, God bless you, teach me more. I mean, I'm trying, But a lot of times problems change our mood and we then become agitated and act in an agitated fashion towards others. But as you get through that first phase, then you have to switch gears. Switching gears requires putting in the clutch and moving stuff physically. Switching gears means, okay, now I realize that I'm not perfect. Well, there's a revelation. I thought I was previous to this moment, but I've been proven wrong. One of my great things with Charlie was, what's 40 plus 1? And he would never say 41. It was interesting. So the product of step 1 is that I don't really understand everything. I'm not totally healed, and I have errors in my mood, in my attitude, in my gestures, in my hormones, in my behavior, so forth, so forth, so forth. Speech, internal dialogue. What if your internal dialogue was made from text to speech, if you got it from text, or just the speech of it was on YouTube? What would that sound like? You won't tell me in 1,000 years because you're too embarrassed and you're too afraid. But I know what it's like. Science tells us that the 80% of our internal thoughts are negative. So we can all talk a good game, but the reality is that there's a obsession and compulsion going on in our internal thinking and worrying, and a lot of it's negative, Other people said, no, it's not 80%, but anyhow, so once you actually are revered for having that exposed, then everybody else is going to point their finger at you. And I basically love that. Because I'd say, oh, that's just me. It's not you. Okay. All right. Got it. You're right. It's not that you're not right. But while you continue projecting lies outwardly or talking about others, then it's difficult. You lose your energy.
Is it like with subnose?
So basically, if they point at you, you're right. They get to be right, which is the old pattern that I'm attempting to heal from or whatever. Then I be grounded in energy and learn.
Yeah, and you could suffer and struggle to try to explain with your heart reasonably something that's going on or something that you're experiencing and why it is you don't understand and why it is you're wrong. You could talk about it. Now the other person might say, well, okay, I understand. Each of us has this ability.
Well, what's up now?
Is that the similar thing what he's talking about?
Where she's pointing her finger at us?
Yeah. Is it?
I think so. Well, her cousin's super traumatized and she never felt like her voice was heard. So she comes at us, and I can relate because I'm exactly like her, right? I was an only child. And even if I try to reason with her, there's nothing I can do. The only thing I can really do is just listen to her suffering, understand that I suffer the same, and do my best to care for her.
Because
I'm definitely not strong enough to help this person. And if I try to argue with her, it makes it worse. It makes me, like me pointing fingers at her, it's not going to end. She's stronger, actually, at pointing fingers. So I might as well just surrender in the first place. Save us all some, stress.
it sounded like when you were describing the process, it felt like that was what was going on in a conversation with her that I had. And it was just, well, acknowledging her, what are you upset about? What is going on? And even though, just but still, it was just like what you were describing. And I just said, told him, okay, I apologize. You know, if you feel this way, if you feel that way. But anyways, that's what it felt like.
She did really good, and I was observing it. I stepped aside, and I was like, okay. There wasn't any permeability in her at all, and I was like, oh man, like my heart was like aching for it because I could relate to it. Like, oh man, I could relate to not having any of that permeability at all. You know what I mean? And just sort of like a pain where it's got to be some tears that need to come out. And it helped me learn about myself. Actually, I learned about myself from this person that seemed extremely stubborn. It's like, wait a minute, I must be extremely stubborn to even see it.
Wow, that's a
right?
deep
Like,
statement. Nice. Yeah, I believe that's true.
I felt like love for her. I really wish that you could find some kind of
You
peace.
really wish that you could
You know what I
find some
mean?
kind of peace. Okay.
Yeah.
That you
That's
like,
really
Yeah. So
good.
if I'm pointing a finger, I'm talking about myself, correct? So every time, so can I use that as a reference every time I'm
Pretty
talking
much.
about
Now, when
somebody
you go
else?
into the realm of
Making,
discernment, of course, we can talk about others and we can define behaviors, you know. But really, if you undo the layers of things and if you live transparently, that's the only way to actualize this water wheel of life that resolves karma is through receptivity and permeability. So when you have this permeability, you say, you know, why am I upset here? Not why did you make me upset? And then, by the way, not that you're not
yeah.
going to fail at that 40 billion more times. I know I will, and I know I have. So unless you have this non-cognitive grace thing and you're able to communicate with somebody like me and say, well, he's not any better than me, he's doing it too, but actually let them do their job, then you can't evolve, you know. You've got to morph. You've got to become a renewed version. That's the lead up to the wedding, and then the wedding is the lead up to the next years. That's the formatting of the hard drive of your life, is these big events. Big events determine our entire lives. So it's not just a whatever. And it's not just a, oh, it's going to be nice and I'm going to. It's that, but also it's I'll probably see way more about all the people in your wedding and the physical location of your wedding than you ever will. Because I have eternal visioning going on all the time. So when I'm speaking to you, I see representations. When you have clarity in your mind, you realize that the imagination is the workshop to the real world. You know, and the imagination is not just imaginary, it's also tangible. You can connect with the priest person, whoever it is doing the workshop, doing the wedding right now. How many times you're going to connect with them? How many times you're going to connect with your guests before you go? To begin to set the paradigm of the wedding. The music, the cakes, the bar, just get rid of the bar. And all these, just get rid of it. Yeah, just get rid of it. Make people pay attention and be paying attention. What do you want them to dance around and whatever because they're drunk? It's nonsense. Anyway, to be able to exact step 2 means that you've figured things out enough, we talked of things enough, and now we're going to get into deeper questions and start the aspect of internal revelation, which means you should see your biological biography now while you're talking to people. You should see the sky and earth now while you're talking to people. You should see your families. You should see what you're doing today. All that should be part of, because that's what you're really doing, isn't it, right now? You're preparing for your day with this. You're getting a piece of energy from me to go then give it to Sean or somebody else so that you can get $1. I mean, and it's really this that we're doing and why we do it, you know. But if you live more, let's say, quantumly, like a quantum processor, a quantum computer, then past, present, and future are always being processed in your biological biography for the purpose of evolving the human genome. I mean, that's the reality of our life, is our contribution to the human genome. So you've got to slow down for that. You've got to have subconscious and superconscious processing speed for that. And that's way better than a genius. That's a genius times 1,000. An enlightened person.
So is that all embedded in the
Yeah.
field? The field of energy. The coils are going like this. We got positive, negative, neutral. All that's all embedded in that.
That's
It's not
correct.
separate. So the mountains, the sky, the earth, the sea, the people that are over there, that's all
Yeah, we're
circulating.
not over here,
Is that through me?
Right.
basically.
Your body is the connecting link. Your body is the ground wire of your brain. This building has the ground wire. The earth is the ground wire of your body. So there's a positive pole, which is the positive ionosphere. That if you look at the electric magnetic properties of the earth, the upper atmosphere, I forget the word, it's some of the C. They determine what the charge is. 500,000 is the earth below, and the negative, and the positive above is the same thing. It's identical. So that's the quality of the magnet. And when you're alone in a scene in nature and you're boundless, you have these tendrils that are going into you and going out from you. And these tendrils, so you're alone in the scene in nature and you're experiencing the waterfall and you're experiencing the beach and you're experiencing the mountains and you're experiencing the volcano and you're experiencing the people and you're experiencing the stars moving, and it's all spirals and everything else. You're let's say it's nighttime, and you experience very long, calm, fine, slow, and even breathing. That's the master skill, right? Before the Olympian delivers, they go into this. So the curriculum and the professors has to all the time become more coded. You have to codify what your path is. Your path is not the external things. Your path is the internal things. If you upgrade who you are, then how you live is automatically upgraded. So the things that are in the field, this physical field, that's the field of duality. That's the field of the world. We're all humans. We're all in flux. We're all in change. You have to surrender to that so profoundly that you go beyond it. And you go into the dream state consciously. So like when you're alone in a scene in nature and you're connected with the tree, you're connected with the ocean and so forth, and your body is receiving energy, you're doing that while you're saying your vows. You're doing that while you're getting ready for the day. But you've got to have rules for the game. If you don't have rules for the game that you're going to experience falling in love and getting turned on and being happy within your own body-mind, then you don't have any energy that's self-sustaining. Meissner magnetism in science is the loop of energy that's self-generating. In Spiegelman, the guy Ach, he created a sun because of fusion. Science now is going from fission to fusion. It's a self-existing sun. How can you create yourself vertically connected to become self-actualizing, so that your horizontal interactions are like winds and waves? Those are the winds. It touches the inside and it creates the waves. You've got to clean out the inside so that the wave that it creates isn't wrong.
So that helps you to sustain energy instead of
It's not a
burning out.
filling up and pouring out anymore. It's a conduition rather than being a subject-object strategist. You're a conduit.
Hallelujah. just the feeling or the idea of that that's all I can say is hallelujah to that.
Yeah, the effort is because of drive. It's not because of reason. Calozer Braun said, reason alone is a force confining, while passion left unattended is a flame that burns to its own destruction. Therefore exalt your reason to the height of passion that it might sing. And another place he talks about words, and he says, in much of your talking, thinking is half murdered. He said, words are wonderful, but it's like a bird in a cage.
So thinking can kill your willpower.
Thinking is absurd. No idea what thinking is. Geniuses don't think. Thinking happens. You're driven because of the need to fix the transmission. Now you're thinking. You don't think first. That's the fool's way of doing it, which is us. we've been sold a bill of goods that the thinking first is what you do. No, you feel the need. I want to fix a transmission so I can drive my car.
Well, is that confusing with I think, therefore I am? Is basically the
Absolutely
exact
not true.
opposite?
There's no question. Because think absolutely.
Opposite.
If you are enraptured in a beautiful scene in nature, when you come back from that no thought experience, thinking is spontaneously creative and genius. You say exactly the right word at exactly the right time, because all you're doing is paying attention to the drivers. What is she doing? What is he doing? You're not trying to be separate from the other person and think in such a way so you can keep them out and under control. That's not honoring people. So what came first, feeling or thought? I mean, come on. Our whole world says thinking is what drives emotions. It's completely absurd. All psychiatrists, psychologists say that. Wrong.
How do we avoid the trap in pre-printing and becoming just like a pre-thinking kind of an apparatus?
That's a good question. It's not something you're doing on top. The waves are not doing something to the winds. So the winds are there. The wedding is here. So then the waves are doing their thing. What kind of flowers do I want? Oh, I can only imagine the flowers of Hawaii. So you see what I mean?
Yeah, so there's no reason to think because nature's already taking care of stuff. So it's like I don't need to sort of. I'm not in control of nature, so if I feel like when I overthink, I'm trying to control something
That's you thinking,
happening, and I'm
right? But if you have the drive to, I have to get the stuff in the car, and we're going to do the booth in 40 minutes, and it takes me 50 minutes to get there. I don't want to speed. Now, maybe you're going to walk more precisely. Maybe you're going to create a different way. Maybe you're going to ask somebody that maybe they're around, could you carry this stuff up to the car for me? The thoughts that are involved are a matter of drive. Reasoning happens afterwards. Transmission is a matrix of gears. If you have the drive to want to move your car and you are the only person that can fix the transmission, first of all, good luck. You need an expert. That's what the teacher's for. But for you to then have thoughts about what you need to do is after drive. If you don't want to feel uncomfortable because you don't want to hear what the other person is feeling, you don't want to feel what the other person is feeling, you don't want to hear what they're saying, then you're every time trying to think your way as a strategy to keep them out. That's what you're talking about. But pre-processing is actually, here comes the event this weekend. I'm going to put on a sorry because William said put on a sorry. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to follow directions. Thinking is a bastard. Geniuses don't think thinking happens. I told you this story, but again, I'm teaching I'm doing the 4th of July. Since 1920 on the books of Crestone, there's only one time that the 4th of July ever made money. It's when I did it. In the newspaper last month, there was a guy saying, I don't know what we're going to do. We can't get enough grants to do the 4th of July, and it's costing too much money from the town and all. I'm like, what? So he doesn't want to do the 4th of July because he can't get the grant money and everything. So we were at the table with the mayor and all this kind of stuff. And I was realizing that actually it's about people's egos. It's not about the event. It's about Sean's ego. It's not about giving good food at the right time and doing it with a good job. It's about your ego. Looking pretty at your wedding, This is just the step one again. Just give me a minute. So when I realized that people are run by egos, I thought, oh my God, I'm going to talk about meditation. And so I'm talking about meditation, there's 20 people, the mayor. And the guy said, I was in the 60s. I have the paper right here somewhere. Oh, well. He said, I was in the 60s and they all say the thoughts come and go and you don't have to have no thought. And I said, what? Every single master says no thought. The Buddha says the no mind thinking no thoughts about no thing is the enlightened person. And it's endless. So I said, I'm going to compile a list. And I have a list. It's 30 pages long. I've given it to you. It's on my website, free there, williammartino.com. And it shows every master of every tradition talking about no thinking. Now, obviously, as precisely and as verbosely I talk, I must think a lot. But I'm not doing it right now. You think I'm thinking about what I'm saying and analyzing my words? So when you have drive, and I compiled that sheet of paper, it's wonderful, from every tradition, from Zen, Tibetan Buddhism, yoga, it's this endless quotes about no thought. Ramana Maharshi says, no thought is a meditative state, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. If you accept instruction, because you can't do it yourself, it's all in the transmission. If you accept instruction and you experience the receptivity of the water that's coming out to you and stop squirming around, and you receive it, that quiets the mind. So it's all of it's your great grandfather on the radio there. It's the people and the neighbors and the Sean and the everybody and all the people in the wedding. They're all admitting, why don't you let it calm your mind? When it calms your mind, it goes in and down through your biological biography and it changes stuff. It gives you power because those are the chords of God, the people. So this whole thing of trying to use thought to keep other people out and under control is very dangerous because you're keeping life out. So pre-processing is not about overtaking the wind. That's not, you can't overtake the wind. You can't overtake space. So people are primarily spacious in who they really are beyond thought. And my thought, my body, my wedding, my money, my life, my husband, my wife, my. Who's the my? The my is independent of thought and independent of circumstance. If you get that, because you fall in love, become happy. I choose to be happy even though I'm so wrong and so incompetent, whatever. I choose to be happy unconditionally. Right now, in my body mind, with my body mind the exact way it is, I choose to lengthen my breath. It has nothing to do with other people or events or whatever's in the future. So now you have no thought of getting ready for the wedding. There's no thought about it. And if you follow direction because you can't figure it out yourself, you'll do it. You won't interrupt me and say, well, I'm not going to do that. I have too many things to do today. You won't do that. You just do it. And no matter what rooster crows and no matter what circumstance comes up with thoughts and body and circumstance, you keep going. That is the secret to life. Master school, master Olympian, master anybody. Pause before you deliver. You're going to walk up before you do your vows. It's going to be this very meditative, careful thing. And then it's on you, and it's on you, and then you read them. So there's total stillness first. There's a careful approach. There's inner envisioning. If you're so maniacal, which everybody is, that you can't stop, then you'll be stopped. So why not just stop now? Why not surrender now? Let life go into your body. You have problems with your body? Why don't you let life go into your body then? You have problems with your emotions? Why don't you let life go into your emotions? Why not? Are you busy? You're too busy? Longer breath. You have to trust this because it's not a cognitive thing. You can't figure it out.
Sounds like
Yeah.
rest. Well, you just described that. Like the no thought sounds like
Yes.
rest to me.
Yes.
Like rejuvenation.
Yes. And the entire world says, what are you doing? You have things to do. Okay, let them give away their energy by saying such nonsense. I would rather stay alive and be healthy and happy and work on my longness that you so wonderfully point out. I would rather do that now. So the world is not going to stop playing energy chess, because whoever has power in the environment is who runs stuff and gets stuff. So that's why we're obsessed with it. But I'm learning to be a mystic, which means just forget it. If the audio of your grandfather doesn't work anymore, or yeah, what else can work? You know, it's got to be something new and different, or you won't have your attention captured.
Can you send me that Maharashi? Do you remember that video you sent, the Maharashi one that had the water? This was years ago, though. It keeps popping into my head.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
You know, it's
millions
just
of
like the
videos.
Maharaji. But you've got the link, you understand? You know, you can have it anymore. You know where the link is? How many times did I give you the link?
Oh, back in time, I could find it
So
all.
in
It's still on my
the
message.
link, there's all the best authentic enlightened masters and the most powerful. Huh? Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
That I have.
It's
So yeah, but you sent me that one on Messenger.
Messenger.
Like, but I have to go
Is
look
there a search function for Messenger? It's Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, you're trying to say?
Yeah. And
Not
it's
one,
like a water.
there's not
it's like a
one video
waterfall.
of him with a waterfall.
No, but maybe it's his voice.
He's the one with the cool voice, right?
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
He has that.
The
Oh,
model
right.
gave his voice
Yeah.
after
I'll
him.
find
All right, if you find that,
And
let's
I'm making-
find something else
and I'm-
now. You know?
You know, I realized that this may be a confession, or I don't know, maybe I didn't realize it sooner, but we were talking about, I experienced walking around without thought. I experienced the field flowing through me. And it just occurred to me just now that I think so much because I'm afraid.
Mm.
I'm so afraid I have to think so
Yeah.
much. It's like the surfer movie where he says, if you're afraid you're going to get hurt, you'll hesitate and your worst fear will come true. I feel like that's what's happening in my thinking. I'm just thinking so much.
60 to 80,000 thoughts, science says we have. That's the basic comment that's out there most. And then, of course, when you ever say something powerful, or if there's a scientific proof that's powerful, you have everybody saying different things. But you could say it this way. When you feel peace of mind, your whole life improves, embodied peace of mind. And you think way too much and way erratically and way negatively. I think that's clear. So
Yes.
the body is the place where you balance your brain. The head's like a sunflower, overblooming, pulling up its own roots. When you touch down, break ground, grow an extensive root structure right here where you're at, you gather gravitational magnetism in a psychological sense. I really mean it in a physical sense, but that might be too much for people to hear. But you gather this gravitational magnetism in your personal presence. It's the kind of thing that happens when a tree has really deep roots, and then its branches are really vast. So you can see the rooster and the neighbors and the wedding and the thing today and the process people are going through. You become a quantum processor because there's so much fuel in your brain. That's the upload. That's the bloom. Rooting and blooming is the essence of all energetic traditions. In yoga, it's called prana nupana. Same thing in Tibetan Tummo, the most advanced practices of Tibetan meditation. Same thing in Qigong. Major Yin River, Major Yang River. Basically, the spinal cord is highly conductive electrical material. In Chinese medicine, it's called the thrusting vessel because electricity goes up and down it so fast. So it's your main thickest cord. So that cord has ethereal connections to the sky and the universe and the earth underneath you. You have no problem understanding this when you're alone in a beautiful scene in nature. What about when you're talking to people? You have no problem understanding the inside body when you're on the bed and you're in the sleep place. No problem with it then. What about now? It's not there now? You don't have a body now? You just have a head? You have no problem being connected with the earth when you're walking on the sandy beach. There's no problem with awareness of your feet and the water. What about the inner earth? The earth and under earth is 500,000 something with a C amount of negative electricity, negative electromagnetism. All electricity has magnetism. Electricity moves. When it moves, it creates magnetism. The same amounts in the upper there. So where are you, you know? Where are you? Are you lost in sadness? Are you lost in math? Are you lost? What are you lost in? Do the step one, find out where you're lost, and correct it now. Okay? It's okay if you were wrong. I'm wrong every 4 seconds. The amount of my wrongness is unknowable. Somebody said that to me once. That's why I remembered it, because I was thinking about him this morning. Did he say that? The amount of your wrong? He sure is right. I gotta write that. So you have these transmissions, you know, and the more that you can understand what's going on inside of your body mind now, and the more that you can actually receive fresh air on the inside from the environment, you know, you soak up the atmosphere. The average intellect, the average mind cannot understand what I'm talking about. They got to move on. Because everything that I'm talking about is speaking to your inner world. So either you're going to have an inner world while you're talking to me, or you're going to move on. I'm not doing another conversation. I already know consciously that what I have on my deathbed is what I run in life, if you want to talk that way. So it's the inner world that means everything. And once you understand the inner world, the outer world becomes very easy. You want more money? You want more sexual energy? You want more communication ability? Do you want more empathy? And all that should be reversed, right? Notice I said money and sexual energy first. Oh, well, wrong again.
So I've been focusing on the wave instead of the actual
Okay.
ocean. The wave, so I get caught up in the choppiness instead of a body, because there would be no waves without an ocean. So for me, that's a reverse the search kind of.
The wave can't say it's the ocean, but the ocean can say it's the wave.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
So that's a
We
reverse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we think that we're just the vicissitudes of what's going on. That's what we're identified with, because we're not identified with the silence and the stillness, the depth of the ocean. But you are the ocean.
Yeah.
The waves is just the surface of your person, your external life. The dream world's the real world. Physical world is the outpicturing of how your interface with the external world is being created from the inner world. It's all taking place in the inner world. So the waves are not nothing. So you have to be able to do that, not in a secret world over there. You have to be able to do that looking at me. And that's where you fall short, because you just didn't cultivate it yet. You think it's some secret world you have over there, and that's what ruins you and ages you, me. You need to be the mystic that you are. And how does a mystic function? Completely ordinarily. Hello, goodbye, how are you? You know, you only become more ordinary. You don't become a weirdo. Nobody else, you're not going to convince anybody else of your intelligence and your ability and your power, because that's all anybody's trying to do. Listen to me, hear me, value me. That's a child. So you need to be able to focus your eyes into my eyes and be the mystic that you are. Be the expression of the divine with the intelligences and all the books that you read and all the experiences that you had, and look in my eyes and focus it. Now, do you have problems? Are you going to be exposed if you're going to be so particle? Einstein said the sole determining influence to the wave is the particle. If you're going to look specifically, that's the particle. The wave is superimposition, Bell's theorem, superentanglement. Can you be both of these at the same time? Can you be the ocean and the wave at the same time? You have no choice, because that's what you are. So when you interact with Sean, when you interact with her, when you interact with him and the rest of it, you have to be what you are, because you can't be anybody else. That's not what you are. All good, bad, and indifferent, you know, all of it. Just right there on the surface. Now that should make you breathe. Fresh life should come into your body with that. Not shock. We did that already. That's what causes that mortal jellyfish to actually go from a full fish back to an embryo and go on the bottom of the earth, the ocean, and then grow again into a full science. Mortal jellyfish. That's the process of rebirth. So you got to back it off, you know, find this silence and peace of mind. That's the only thing you have to worry about, because the expression and the pointedness and the focusing, it's just all automated. Like I said, you don't have to worry about figuring things out. And it's a lie. I'm telling you. Don't believe that. Stop it. All you got to do is stop. And then today we'll go, you have so much power and so much clarity. It's like a magic wherever you go. If you can slow down, stop, and reverse your search now. If you can't stop, then you'll get stopped. So heed the warning. The whole world's going to get stopped now, right? It's not going to stop. I said to the Muslim folks this morning, where did I write it? I'm going to read it to you. I had to do it. I know I'm a bad person. I had to do it. They've been waiting for me for an hour, by the way. And I said, saying my beliefs and not your beliefs is the essence of the error. Oh, wait. No. The path to healing and wellness and enlightenment is not dependent on your personal beliefs. That is the reason for war. True perception demonstrates action and consequence. When you are not receptive to the inherent divinity of others and not using love as the guiding rule, you're truly lost. A right will can only function through receptivity. Saying my beliefs and not your beliefs is the essence of this error. The wise person respects and honors wisdom in its multifaceted presentation, present all around us. Anything else is subject-object delusion, devoid of the mystery behind the scenes of environment. I should say, and functioning through all people. Lost the word functioning somewhere. The arrogance that cries otherwise is destined for ceaseless troubles. That's the beauty of a lot of Islam, eh? Their scriptures is a warning, good warning. I say our scriptures. I believe in all religion. When you are not receptive, I said that. So I said that, and I said to the lady and the brother, should I post that on the front page of my website? Well, I have no intention of posting it on my website, but I wanted to talk to them, you know. I've been getting tired of the whole, the one Muslim guy, he was a really great friend. He lives in Dubai. He said to me, but what about all your teachings? Doesn't that contradict Islam? I'm like, oh my God. Really? Okay. Long breath now. Long breath. Shh. How's your right shoulder?
Still sore.
Oh. Oh, did you feel a glitch there?
Yeah.
So when we start to go into meditation, the little glitches in our biological biography happen. So you better straighten up. Straighten your posture and connect your head to the sky, connect your feet and your bottom to the earth, connect to the oceans and Pele and everybody. Home. It's all the transmission. So you want the Our Father who art in heaven? Okay. You want the Om Mani Padme Hum? Okay. You want the three powers and the inner teachings of the Shaolin Temple and Wudang Kung Fu, meaning sky, earth, body, and creating hormonal nectar and magnetism and spiritual psychological refinement. Okay. You want the teachings, the most advanced teachings of all traditions, which is kind of what's beyond thought, what's the source of thought. I am that. Transcendence. Okay. You want nature? Okay. You worried about planning and doing some aspects of the wedding still? Okay, bring that in. Where is it in your body? Feel it. Oh, but you have to go longer and deeper. The magic of meditation, real meditation, authentic enlightened masters. According to your personality, not in some weirdo new age plastic shaman world. The real people. Come on. Longer, 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 longer. Be the best thing you ever did. To accept the transmission from people who have gone before you that can help to manage your issues, to clean you out emotionally. Money, bed. Family of origin, neighbors, Hubble telescope pictures, spinning galaxy. The Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour going through space. The Milky Way galaxy is spinning at 512,000 miles an hour. It's moving through empty space at 1 million miles an hour. A teaspoon of a neutron star weighs 50 billion tons. Time dilation. The reality of a clock on the bottom of the Empire State Building, for example, compared to a clock physically at the top of the Empire State Building, the clock at the bottom moves slower physically. You have to slow down your sense of time if you need more time in life. You'll be able to do things more carefully. So you'll get more done in less time. All this is dependent upon the transmission from some legitimate, authentic, enlightened master or their emissary like me. You have to receive the energy, the vibe, the atmosphere, like a great star walking into a room. You connect your cord and let it flow in.
As you meditate, let your body get heavier with each exhale. Touching earth, grounding through. Make a long sound now and then. Sense nasal airflow. See the light through your closed eyelids. Let nature breathe through you like a bellows. According to Harvard University, the people who have the most control over their brains and biochemistry are advanced Tibetan meditation masters, not geniuses, and not the rich. To know the inner world is the source and substance of all life. Inner listening, inner looking, inner smelling, sweet taste in the mouth, heavy relaxation. Light through the eyelids, nasal airflow. Pausing at the end of the exhale, pausing at the end of the inhale. Longer, removing more of the layers, objectifying, masking, repressing your own personal emotional issues. According to science and universities, it's all about emotion for determining success in life. Not IQ, EQ. So what's your emotional feeling and where is it in your body mind? Where's the physical feeling and how is it all emotionally related? Admit the fresh air and sunlight into this area. Open the windows to the stuffy rooms of your shut-off psyche. Little places in your biological biography where there's trapped bubbles or eddies of water. People say in wonderful moments and in terrible moments, my whole life flashed in front of my eyes. If you become very quiet and still, you could see the same thing. And that's the processing of your emotion. Because it's all emotionally related. And then, of course, cognitively, your thoughts are then going to become part of this healing. But you got to get to the root first. Water the root to enjoy the fruit. How much can change in the next 10 seconds? You say 10 in your mind during the day. See if you can take a dip in the flow, like dipping in magic waters. The benefits are cumulative. How much change can happen in an instance? People's entire destinies are transformed in an instance. The strength of the experience determines epigenetic and neuroplastic and enteric influence, biochemistry influence. The strength of the experience. Well, why not have a great experience right now? Prayerfulness, reverence, awe, breathtaking beauty. Get to the place where the breathing is long, calm, fine, slow, and even, and make your way to step 3. You got to focus more on step 2 and 3 now. The figuring it out, the negative stuff, in terms of diseased emotion or thoughts or behaviors are not good enough. That's gone now. You are good enough. You're magic. Breathtaking beauty. Step 3, you've got to get to breathtaking beauty. A moment where so much nourishment wells up into your body, mind, that you have bated breath, and then sighs of relief, and you're superpowered during those sighs of relief. Everything changes. Biochemistry, hormones, breathing pattern, pulse, sensory orientation, spatial orientation, emotion, thought, behavioral paradigm. Now you can reconfigure your interface with neighbors and people and workers and life. Create the atmic relationalism or kinship relationalism, to where there's a reason and purpose for each emotion and each word. Just understand it and reveal it, and behind it you'll see the purpose. Everybody's moving towards happiness, no matter what decision they're making. Sometimes the decisions we make don't get us what we want, but the natural movement of the mind is to make a decision or to do something to create the emotional return of happiness, no matter what we do, no matter who you are. So why not let the mind go free and experience the self-effulgent happiness that's existent already here? That's the key. Natural pauses, sighs of relief, step 3. And then rooting, touch the earth with your mind. Gather strength from the earth. So there's the 6 steps that are like
phases, really, that happen when a person is being healed cognitively, emotionally, behaviorally, circumstantially. The first is the overcoming of denial, the removing of covering to personal issues in your tissues. 2 is longer rhythm, not just automatically going to no breath or going to sleep, but lengthening, steadying your attention. Fixity of attention depends on slow breathing. Step 3 is breathtaking beauty. Natural pauses, sighs of relief. That's the meditative state. No thoughts. Feeling peace of mind instead of thinking thought. Embodied. Not just cerebral or out there and la, psychic, whatever. Embodied. So the body breathes like a bellows. When you come back from that blooming, sorry. From the experience of the transcendence, then you have the rooting, and then from the rooting you have the blooming. And that's the cycles of energy going up and down the spine, reflected in all the traditions. You have to have magnetism in your hands. You got to have magnetism that's tangible, that you can move with your mind. Until you're trusted with the sea of psychic magnetism, you can't move magnetism with your mind. So how are you going to do that? You have to become very quiet. If it takes you 200 years to do it, then you better get on it, huh? Once you have a moment like this, the junk comes out of you like toxins draining out of your body. It's like somebody has you in this miracle field. And when you're in that miracle field, the physical toxins just come out of your body and they go into the earth to ground you in the earth. So you have to keep allowing that, So rooting and blooming function together so that you have physical external presence in where you are. That earth underneath, that sky above, that environment around, that person next to you. Your magnetism has to now expand in blooming. So this is naturally what happens, the flow of what happens when an individual is experiencing personal healing. Once you have rooting and blooming enough, your conscious mind, your physical body is supported so much that you start to see stuff. You could see, hey, I'm going to go make samosas today. Hey, I'm going to go do this with the car today. Hey, I'm going to talk to them today. Hey, it's just all here. So then you kind of go back to step 1 and go through it all again to be able to process what's going on with all of these circumstances and these people. So it takes a long time. So since it takes a long time, you got to slow down your experience of time and prioritize this stuff. Prioritize the vertical above the horizontal. Prioritize slowing down, stopping, and reversing your search rather than being stuck on go. Once you stop and you have no thought, that's it. Now your magic doesn't matter what you do. Hello there.
Hello.
Good. How you doing, Gary?
Good. Hey, so I've got an email here earlier this week
Yeah.
for a meter and why we're going up there to check it
Yeah.
every month.
Yeah.
So there is an issue with the meter. We've been in transition on the equipment used to sort of evaluate the issues with meters. And so we just got a new one this last month and got set up last month. And so we're trying to go through and fix all the meters that needed to be fixed, right? So we've had several that have built up over the last several months.
Okay.
Because our old equipment died. So
Got it.
hopefully the guys will be around this week to try and get that fixed, and we won't be visiting your house on a monthly basis.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering. I thought I'd reach out, and of course, at the same time I ask, it's being fixed by itself. But I appreciate the call back. It's good to know what's going on with that, because I just, after a while, I was like, what the heck,
Yeah, they were just having to manually read the meter because it wasn't reading through the route software. So normally they just, drive a truck once a month and ask all the meters to read, and then it gives them a read. But yours is one of several that's not doing that currently. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate the call back.
You're welcome, sir.
Thanks. Have a good day. Bye-bye. The water companies, it's like all the time. I'm like sitting in my driveway forever for like a year and a half. I'm like, I sent him an email the other day. I'm like, is something broken? Fix it. It's emissions now. But I tried to be nicer there because I just meditated. So there you go. That's how it works, And if you just prioritize this kind of stuff and remember that you're always going to be a student, you're always going to need bridge teacher and enlightened masters, and you're always going to need to press play. If you can just do that, you're going to see your life continuing to blossom. And you need to make some phone calls to sell some samosas on a larger scale. I had enough with that. And do the sales. You get the sales going, and I saw you made a nice new booth or something.
The booth, yeah, but the sales, I'm actually gonna go to Hoku's, which is you mentioned the other day to go to like the local markets. So we have a list now. We're gonna go to local markets to get the samosas in, and we're making breakfast samosas now. I'm feeling. I have a feeling, depending on the store, if they have a freezer section, the breakfast samosas might be the way to go.
Very popular.
Very popular. People are like going nuts for the breakfast samosas. It's seeming like that's when I'm gonna go to the different stores and find out which ones have.
Okay.
And I checked, and there's not.
The breakfast
Oh.
trademark.
I'm gonna
there.
trademark
Oh,
it.
cool.
The term.
Cool.
Even that- yeah, so that's
I
the
love it.
next step with
Can
that.
you remember? Can you write something down?
Mhm.
Contact high power people. You don't need to sell 3 samosas once a week at a store. Now you'll go 10 years with this nonsense. Contact some. I mean, it's really nice. I encourage you, but please contact high power people. Just, make it part of your life to send 1, 2, 3 emails once a week. Something will break through pretty quick for you. All you got to do. No, around the islands. See? Just follow. Okay.
I have no idea who that is,
It'll
but
be great
He's a
because,
high-powered
you have some money and be able to travel more and other people can do things. And it's very freeing to have that kind of freedom. Your energy is all taken up on, all this stuff all the time. And all you got to do is just talk to one person that's decent, and that's going to be it, because you're perfectly situated. You're on the island. You have nice personalities. You have a good product. So a lot of the products that all these people on all the islands get are commercial or this or that. There might be a few people like you. But if you talk to the right person, they'll be like, well, sure. I've got 40 stores in Honolulu and the other ones, and I'd be happy to let you, try it out for a week. We'll fly them over. And then, whatever that means, however that works. But there's sun cord. This is where thinking comes in, but it's driven. You meditate, you say, you're fire, consuming fire, God says he is, and it's just wonderful because, as soon as you do that today, as soon as you just make one contact, as soon as you touch them with their mind, they're going to be attracted. They're going to want to communicate with you more. Both of you automatically have that. All right. Let's see. What is it now? I forget. I don't even remember. Hold on. 2 weeks. 2 weeks on like Thursday or
Thursday. Yeah,
let's
what is
do the
it? It's-
episode
it's,
however early you're doing. 10 my time. I love that.
16th, yeah. No,
10.
what time are we doing with him?
Well, 10. My time. 2 weeks from now. Watch what day you're gonna have.
All right.
Mahalo and Chakra.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay,
Be
we'll do.
well, please.
See you all. See you, Anthony.
Cheers,
Okay.
Zach.
Yeah.
We're gonna see
Are
you
you-
soon.
I'm gonna clean the room. All right.
I,
Bye.